Well, humans acting in an economy very often have to make decisions before they're fully certain of the outcome. If you're a business developing a new product, is that new product going to sell really well, mediocre, terribly? We're constantly making choices without knowing the future state of the world, and in particular the future outcome of gambles essentially that we're involved in. And one of the tools we use to develop a dollar value that we expect from a future outcome that's uncertain, one of the ways we arrive at decisions of whether we should undertake an action whose outcome is uncertain or not is to use this concept called expected value. And I'm not going to derive the math of it, but you ought to know how expected values are calculated, how to calculate an expected value, and even if you're presented with information already calculated by something else, you want to know what it is. It's a pretty common concept. What an expected value is, or to calculate an expected value, we sum across all, let's say there's n possible outcomes, we sum across the probability of each outcome times the value associated with each outcome. And that, that sigma and the summation sign, even though you all learned it way back when, I know it can be somewhat off-putting if you don't work with it all the time. Some of us work with it all the time because we're economics majors or natural science majors, whatever. Let's use that rock, scissors, paper example. Let's say if you win, so you flash paper, your partner flashes rock, you get $1. But let's say if you lose, you flash paper, but your opponent flashes a scissors, you lose $1. And let's say if you tie, you flash rock, they flash rock, then there's no change. And so the expected value of such a gamble would be the following. You can go through the math, but it's a third probability. The probability that you win is 1/3, probability you lose is 1/3, probability you tie is 1/3. And you can think about, let's say you're flashing rock, and let's say you're flashing rock unpredictably. Well, your opponent could flash paper, scissors, or rock. So anyway, when you play rock, scissors, paper with kids, they give it all away. They just play the same thing over and over. They just are easy to figure out. But if you're not easy to figure out, it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Well, the expected value of that gamble then would be 1/3 times 1 plus 1/3 times -1, and in the real world we wouldn't have to write this out, but just to be complete, 1/3 times 0. And of course 1/3 times 0 is 0, so you don't really need to write that out. Well, this is positive 1/3 minus 1/3, positive 1/3 plus -1/3. The expected value of this gamble is 0. So this is a fair gamble. That's what a fair gamble is one whose expected value is 0. You're not expected to win much. You're not expected to lose much. If you played it a bunch, you'd be at 0, unless you were playing something really easy to detect when you could come out ahead. A better than fair gamble is one whose expected value is greater than 0. A worse than fair gamble is one whose expected value is less than 0.